welcome to the Small Business Leadership Edge show. So excited to have you here, and not only just having you here, but also being able to put you in a place or get you to a space where we're going to give you some of the big business solutions that you need for your small business. It is one thing for us to continue to hear what each other are doing in our small businesses. It's a whole nother, it brings us and up levels our game to a whole new level when we can hear executives and we can hear what larger businesses are doing and be able to leverage those strategies, hear how they're thinking about how they process information and what they're doing to grow their business at a large corporation or mid to level or higher corporation level. But being able to tweak those strategies so that they work for us in our business so that we can work smarter, not harder. So this is for that savvy, smart professional that wants to up-level their game. And I'm excited about today's lineup because we've got an amazing panel. And what you're going to see, just for those that just get the flow of our session, it's pretty simple and straightforward. We're pretty interactive, but I want to give you a couple of the 1-2s in regards to being in the platform. One of the things you'll see is we'll get a chance to introduce our speakers or our guest experts, I should say, in just a few moments, just so that they can say hello and get ready to start our sales and marketing call today. So without further ado, I am going to set up very quickly here. Our topic of the day is pretty powerful. We are looking at just the brand and innovation and how we leverage sales in a digital age, not just amidst this pandemic, but in a digital age with everyone compounding, everyone being in this digital space right now. How do you differentiate yourself? What specifically do you do to position yourself, your business, so that you can actually compete in an oversaturated marketplace? But how do you connect with people, the right people, at the right time, and be able to use some simple tools that are going to help you to increase your revenue in this digital world? So to be able to position the show well, we brought on 2 guest panelists, and I am going to bring them in right now as we speak here. Good morning, Miss Kristin Harper. We've got Kristin Harper on from Driven to Succeed. So welcome to the broadcast this morning, Kristin.
Thanks, Tony.
Awesome. And we've got Roderick Jefferson in our top left-hand corner there. Roderick Jefferson is our 2019 top 10, sales and marketing influencer on LinkedIn. And, I will give kudos in just a second to Kristin and really introduce both of them. But good morning, Roderick. You know what? That's why we say good morning, so we can know. There you go. Can we get a good morning again?
Absolutely. It's always that mute button that gets me. Thank you very much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Well, I just want to thank you both for being on today. It is such an exciting pleasure to have you both on. As I get ready to introduce them, I'm going to jump right in because we want to make sure that we grab as much value and exciting information about just not only what their expertise is from a sales and marketing and a branding perspective, but also just some of the things that they're doing as we emerge and as we open up into the new environment. So let me introduce ladies first, Roderick. I know
absolutely,
you're
always.
So let me, without further ado, Miss Kristin Harper is the CEO and founder of Driven to Succeed. My gosh, I mean, there's so many things I could say about both of these people that are on the show, or our guest experts here today, but she has not only been the person that's been the head of brand and marketing for major corporations like Procter & Gamble, Crest, Oral-B, but she's also been the head as a VP, a global VP of sales, but also the VP of operations for corporations where she's managed their acquisitions, managed being able to look at the entire company and saying, what do we do? How do we move things forward? And how do we take our people to the next level in building global brands in Fortune 15 companies, not Fortune 500, not just Fortune 500 people, Fortune 15. So when we talk about the power of being able to listen to the caliber, award-winning, getting ready to be a #1 best-selling author, probably again, okay? I didn't even see the other books I'm sure that you've already written, but I just want you to be able to have the backdrop of the amazing expertise that we have on today and being able to leverage the tutelage, because her company Driven to Succeed is not only about helping businesses to be able to brand themselves, to market themselves, the innovative ideas. But one thing I really enjoy about Kristin is the energy and her ability to infuse emotional intelligence into the strategies and the impact that she's making in businesses. Because you and I know it's not just a numbers game in this day and age. In this time frame, it is how we connect with people. When people walk away, like Maya Angelou says, they don't remember what you said, they don't remember what you did, they remember how they felt. And she is not only the expert in doing that, but how do you make someone feel in a certain way? How do you have that emotional intelligence to be able to connect with the right people, have and hold the right conversations, but let them walk away feeling like this is not just COVID, that we're not in the midst of pandemic, but that you're actually speaking to those individuals, whether it's your business or whether it's your career. That is the power of leveraging strategies and the business acumen that Kristin Harper brings to the table. With Mr. Roderick, he is a powerful and an amazing, not only are both of these guest experts keynote speakers, but you've got in Roderick the expertise of being a sales enablement executive. He has been a global sales enablement executive. And for those of us that are in small businesses, all that means is this guy really does, for a living, go into major corporations like Oracle, Marketo, being the global sales executive for companies that large, as well as, I want to say Salesforce, as well as other companies, obviously. But being able to do just what we're talking about today. How do you put the right systems in place so that at a large corporation, at a large scale, where there's multiple people in the sales force around the world, how are they connecting with the right people? How do we make sure we maintain the intellectual capital so that we can put deals in the pipeline, that we can consistently have those right conversations, but also be able to, as a large corporation, serve their leaders, serve their clientele, as well as their partners at the highest level to continue to grow that market share, to continue to be able to expand and do that in a global space. They both work in global, from a branding standpoint with Kristin to sales with Roderick. But when you're talking about sales and looking at the sales force across, it's not just what you're putting out there with the brand. It's the people that are going out there representing the corporation and speaking different languages, the different areas of expertise you have to deal with in regards to how do we connect and how do we make sure in each country that we can go through their processes, partner, and make sure we're still making sales, no matter what country it is, no matter what language is being spoken, and no matter who we have to touch and how we have to touch them. That is Roderick's expertise. He is now, and you can see it in all the awards that both have won, but Roderick, 2019's Sales Enablement Executive as far as programs, 2019's Sales and Marketing Top 10 influencer on LinkedIn. We're talking about LinkedIn people. Yes, exactly. The multi-gazillions of people to be the top 10 in sales and marketing as an influencer. That just tells you the ability that that not only does Roderick have in regards to influencing and connecting with people, but now you've got two powerhouses sitting right here, being able to say, this is the power that emotional intelligence has in your ability to connect with people. And so I know I've done the tee up of, I just want people to understand how amazing it is to be able to have the tutelage, the wisdom, and some of the expertise that you are both not only bring to the table, but are able to share in this space. So thank you for letting me, love on you a little bit. And now we're going to get interactive and we're going to have some fun. So
I'm going to have to take you on the road, Tony. I mean, that was amazing. You gave me some promotions I never had. I mean, I didn't lead it for the whole company, but
okay, this is the woman in charge. Whatever. Okay, look, I was feeling it. Okay.
Tony, I see a bidding war coming because you're going to have to go on the road with me too.
Okay. Well, I'm excited.
I've ever had of my life. So
I don't know about that, but okay.
I'm going to have to split you up somewhere on the road or go.
Well, you guys are good. You guys are good. So let me just hang on the coattails, whatever it is, if I can. But I do want to open because, I'd like to bounce back and forth between each of you. Maybe you could tell us just a little bit about your background and share not only a little bit about your background, but some of the changes that you're seeing of Kristin, for you, how it is people are needing to actually shift a little bit to brand and create their market in this space. And then for you, Roderick, as you give a little bit of your background, the changes that you're seeing that have to be made in regards to sales on a local, national, as well as a global scale for both of you. So Kristin, without further ado.
Thank you, Tony. Such a pleasure to be here with you and Roderick today. Again, just so excited to be able to have this conversation with your audience and with this team. I am Kristin Harper, and Tony did such a fantastic job introducing me. I spent the last 20 years in corporate America in brand management, which is essentially marketing for brands, whether they're products or services, and running a P&L. So managing businesses with profit and loss and all of the things in between regarding it. So I left a few months ago because I really felt a calling to contribute in an even greater way, not only to Fortune 500 companies that I've worked for, but also to entrepreneurs as well, which is why I'm so excited to be here with you today. So I do provide brand strategy consulting, market research services. I am an author, and my new book is coming out in just a couple weeks, available on Amazon now. So I do keynote speaking around leadership and emotional intelligence, which is what the topic is, and then career coaching based on 20 years of experience working up the chain, up the ladder from college intern to global VP in my 30s. You know, as I think about the changing landscape of our world and of our country, and some of the changes that are needed to be able to address the needs. You know, this COVID, this pandemic has created a huge disruption. It's created a disruption for everyone. And more than anything, there are so many lessons that have come out of this, but one of those lessons is, at the end of the day, no matter what your title is, we're all human. And we've all been faced with disruptions, changes, fears, anxieties, the cycle of grief. And so this is an opportunity as business people to connect on a very human level. And certainly sales, you know, is what you do, what we all do. But sales is really ultimately about delivering and being of service. So some of the changes I think that are needed to be successful and needed to pivot is really one around the communication. And how are you communicating with empathy? Number two is, how are you being of service to your clients? So in order to be of service to your clients, you need to know who your clients are, and what their pain points are, what their unmet needs are. And some of those needs may change as a result of what we're all experiencing. So deep consumer intimacy is something that I've always focused on, and what I encourage my clients to also focus on and help them be able to do, to really understand who their customer is so that you can serve them with products and services that meet their needs and communicate with them in a way that resonates not only in the mind, but also in the heart.
Oh, that's beautiful. Roderick, go ahead, chime in a little bit, because she said before you even go into your background and whatnot, is there any response that you have in regards to, because that's a powerful way to showcase some of the things that we're doing, as well as the heart-centered, and I know that that is one of the things that is of true importance to Kristin in regards to how she positions and connects, and that is really huge right now, having the compassion and being able to really empathize with people in their situation. What are your thoughts around?
I absolutely agree, and Kristin, very well put. I think there has never been a time where leading with empathy, compassion, and humanity has meant more than today. And it's interesting because most of the time when people think about sales enablement, or where they've been exposed to sales enablement, it's been about platforms, program, processes, tools. While those are important, I think, and I again echo with Kristin, that the first P is people. That's really what we do. We are in the people business in sales enablement. It's about making folks bigger, faster, stronger, so then transversely they can do the same thing for their company, for their prospects, and for their clients. So with that, and I'm going to get much deeper into that one. Around my background, I'm a sales guy through and through. I started as a BDR way back at AT&T years ago and moved into an AE role, did well, got to President's Club a couple of times, and then decided at being promoted to sales leader, I decided, no, I actually like the process of selling more than I did taking down big deals. So then I went into sales training at the time, and it was literally in the infantile stages, sharing templates and tools and, you know, Excel and Word files at its compound. And from there, it's grown, and it's been an incredible journey. I've been blessed to run sales enablement, either grassrooting or starting at companies like AT&T, Siebel Systems, NetApp, eBay, HP, Oracle, Salesforce, and most recently Marketo. Amazing ride, yes, but what it did teach me is, regardless of how large or how small a company is, we generally have a lot of the same issues. It's just about how you go about it. The wonderful thing about sales enablement is it covers all spaces horizontally, all verticals, and all industries. And you're able to take the best practices as well as failures. And I think I've always believed that you learn how to or you learn how not to. And either way you learn, you can take those and move it forward. So what I'm looking forward to doing is being able to share with your audience today how things are going to change. Because, if it hasn't already, this pandemic is going to touch every part of the business landscape, beginning all the way back with talent assessment and selection, because the traditional hiring and placement piece has shifted. It's uncertain is a given out there. We're experiencing things that are unprecedented, but at the same time, it's an opportunity to grow and an opportunity for companies right now to take what's going on and turn to a positive. What I mean is there are opportunities of hiring sales folks at very senior levels right now that were never available before. There's opportunities now to shift your go-to-market strategy, to now assess your competitive landscape differently, and also to move sales enablement from being viewed as a cost center or the fixers of broken things into a true valued partner across all of the lines of your business. Whether you're an entrepreneurial business, whether you're an SMB, small, medium sized business, or whether you're a Fortune 15, we're all facing the same issues. And that's how do we help our customers maintain the customers that they have today? How do we mitigate risk? And how do we now scale and create consistent and scalable programs, processes, platforms, and tools that will ultimately create customers for life?
I am so thrilled to hear some of the things that you're saying, simply because between the two of you, we're not only talking about some of the things that we've known for years have always been things that we're supposed to do. This gives us a chance, or what you're saying and some of the strategies that you're talking about, give us a chance to be able to recognize, even in this environment, the relationships that we build, some of the things that we do to sell our products and services, and the way we do things now. It does make a difference, but it's still the same old stuff. It's just getting better at it and coming from a different vantage point is what the real deal is. And so I think that is so powerful. And I know that I'm wanting to jump a little bit right back into your background a little bit, Roderick. I'd love to see if you wouldn't mind explaining to us, because you as a thought leader, a sales enablement thought leader, you have a chance and have consistently been out there as a keynote speaker, as building, sales programs inside somebody's corporation. Can you at least talk to us a little bit about defining sales enablement for small businesses and the impact of today's economy on how we compete in this marketplace from that vantage point?
Absolutely. Great topic, because it's different today than it was pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, it was about how do we decrease time to revenue? How do we increase productivity? How do we put in place strategy, architecture, execution? Now, especially for smaller companies, it's really changed in being able to show the value. It's got to be about business outcome focus now. It's got to be about increasing profit. How do you help reduce costs? How do you help to mitigate risk? And ultimately, how can you help your clients hold on to the clients that they have today? Because in some cases, it's hard to prospect to a company that has no prospects. And I'm seeing that firsthand as the CEO of Roderick Jefferson and Associates. Now, we haven't been unscathed and untouched either. What we realized is we need to now pivot and understand how we can touch our customers in a different way, but still have the same valued impact. And let me give you an example. Before, we would go in and we would do an on-site evaluation. We would understand all the lines of business. What are the goals? What are the objectives? What are the obstacles? And where are the silos? That doesn't happen today. So we had to figure out, how do we now do that in a virtual environment, right? But still have a personal touch. You can't just send out a survey and say, hey, can you fill this out? So what we're doing now is really doing a lot of virtual meetings with them, like everyone else. But what we're doing is breaking it down so that when we do talk to them, it is role specific about their segment of the business. I'm talking to sales ops about, what are you doing from a tools perspective? What are you doing from a territory alignment perspective? What are you doing now to make people bigger, faster, and stronger and remove selling obstacles? We're talking to sales. who I believe a simple fact. The further you get away from the sun, the colder it gets, and sales is the sun. So never forget where the sun rises and sets. So start with them and understand, what does success look like and how do they define it? How do I now partner with you differently than what you've ever seen before? How do we get to those goals? And most importantly, what are we doing with the first and second line managers to create more leaders and less followers? What succession plan do you have in? And then talk to all the other lines of business. And then we've also taken what was a stand and deliver, go on site around sales leadership, around sales coaching, and made this a virtual workshop experience now. Now that's not enough, because we know sales folks are ADDDDDHD. So when they're online, what are we doing? We're inviting them to multitask. So what we do now is make sure that you have to keep this interactive, you have to keep it engaging, and you have to call them out by name to let them know that I know you're hiding in the corner, come out of the shadows, and let's participate. And these are all things that, like with Kristin, are in my upcoming book as well, that will come out later this year. And that's, how do you build relationships and how do you build people and build connections rather than just simply connecting? That's what sales enablement does.
That is fantastic. And before I jump right back to Kristin, and I'm going to let you respond, and then we're going to go into a few key things that I want to see from Kristin as well. But Roderick, you said something that I thought was powerful, which is which is, how do you stay, or sales is about staying close to the sun, because when you actually step away from it, right? But describe that for our viewers. What do you mean in regards to the sun? When you're, what does that mean for our small business owners that are listening to and hearing that?
I'm going to make it as simple as possible. If you don't sell anything, you don't have a business. You just have a really expensive hobby. And no one wants that. So what I'm saying is, what are the right people? What are the right processes? What are the right programs? What are the right platforms? What are the right tools to get your sales folks in the right conversations at the right time with the right people? And that's where you need to focus. And it's not about selling, because I'll go back to something I learned a long time ago from a mentor. Stop giving presentations and start having conversations, because people like to be talked to in a conversational style. If I come to you and I say, this is what you should do and this is how you should do it, and I can't believe that your company exists without what we sell, you're useless. Your value comes from listening intently to discover more, not to ask more questions.
I think that's fantastic and phenomenal, simply because you're talking the shift that each of us need to make in our business. In addition to the fact that when I also hear the sun, what is your hottest point as a salesperson? And we're all salespeople. I don't care what they say. Oh, you're not in sales. Yes, you are. Because if you're not selling something, like you just said, right? I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're not in business. Is that what you were saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for me and for many small businesses, that the sun is also the best, a good way of saying, this is your ideal client. This is your target market. And the closer you are to them and meeting them right where they are, connecting with them and permeating that throughout, as Roderick said, every level of the business, so that you can really understand who they are when you're having those conversations. It isn't a sales conversation anymore. Really, it's about enrolling. It's about connecting. It's about being able to serve at the highest level. And that is one of the things that Kristin is also phenomenal at, in regards to being able to connect with people, being able to really see or really discuss the impact of your emotional intelligence, not only in the connection with people, right? Because it's people that you're connecting with, yes, and having conversations with. But Kristin, talk about, this isn't even on there, but I'm piggybacking off of Roderick's point. Talk about how you have impacted the conversations with leveraging the emotional intelligence, but also more so even into the branding, the marketing that is being done today. And that even sparks the connection of attracting your ideal client, getting closer to the sun so you can have those buying conversations or send that person on a buying journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I love so much of what you said, Roderick, around the sun and around having those conversations, because at the end of the day, your client or your prospective client doesn't want to feel like a prospective client. They want to feel like someone who is heard. And so I want to talk a little bit about what you should be listening for in those conversations and in those dialogues. And it should be a two-way dialogue where you are doing most of the listening as a salesperson, as a business person, etc. What you want to listen for, from my perspective, is their problems and their pain points. Because what you ultimately want to do, you want to provide a solution to their problems and their pain points. And the solution that you want to provide, you want to make sure is differentiated versus the competitive set. So there's something that they're doing today. There is a solution that they're using today. That solution could be doing nothing. It could be working through it manually. And I'll tell a short story in just a moment about the power of sales enablement. But you want to understand your competitive set, and how do you distinguish yourself from your competitive set? Because the power of getting to that yes is not only getting close to the sun, not only listening to your client or prospective client's needs, problems, concerns, etc., but providing that differentiated solution. So, quick story about sales enablement, and all of that is rooted in emotional intelligence. It's rooted in being a good human being. It's rooted in being patient. It's rooting in being patient enough to be quiet and listen,
Yes.
and not interrupt, and let people be heard. And then to put yourself in their shoes so that you can really feel and hear what they're saying from the mind and the heart, replaying it back so they know that you have heard what they've said, and that what your understanding is consistent with what they're sharing. About sales enablement, particularly because your audience is full of small businesses and entrepreneurs. When I started my business, I know that processes are really important. And the thing that differentiates great businesses from not so great businesses is scale. The thing that makes you be able to grow and duplicate yourself is scale. And a lot of times, small businesses, we maintain, and even sometimes higher ed and organizations, we maintain so much institutional knowledge in our heads, and we don't document those processes. So one of the first things I've done as a business owner is to document processes. I mean, even things like, how do I put closed caption on a YouTube video? I have a process for that, because once you learn things, you don't want to have to keep relearning it. And as a business owner, you don't want to have to do everything yourself forever, okay? So with that, there was a point where I was using a Google Sheets to share with my executive admin around who my prospect list was, and it just wasn't working. I had to upgrade. I upgraded to Salesforce.com. I can't remember if that's one of the businesses you worked for.
Was, yeah.
Yes? Okay. But having that process in place has dramatically helped to increase sales, create duplicatable processes so that I can engage my clients and spend less time on the admin work and more time engaging and being of service to clients. So at the end of the day, listening and treating others like people and listening for their problems and pain points is all rooted in EQ and being able to solve their problems. And if your solution does not solve their problems and pain points, be honest about that. You will drive more trust by being honest and saying, you know what, based on what you're sharing, I'm not sure that our solution will meet your needs. And then you go a step further. If there's another solution, even if it's from someone else, you may want to meet such and such, and then connect them with that person. That will endear trust, because the buying journey is over a period of time. You go from awareness all the way to the purchase, and then the repurchase and the loyalty. So it is a long-term relationship, not a short-term transaction.
I think that's fantastic. And thank you so much for digging into some of the specifics, Kristin. I mean, and both of you have done a phenomenal job of that, because that's what we need to hear, in all honesty. When she said, look, I'm a process hound, but man, a process for a caption on a YouTube video, that is deep and that is so real. It's like, it's like having a process for if you have an office, when and how and what the schedule is of the trash getting emptied. You really have to do things at that level, because how can you create consistent results if you don't know what you're doing? How can you actually get repeatable results that are positive or negative, like understanding the failure, what you're missing, and understanding what you're doing well. For me, it also translates into having those scripts. Even though people say don't go by a script, everything is like a script. You need to feel it, embody it, yes, and really believe in what you're saying. But if I'm going to make sure that I am hitting the mark and having a consistent conversation every time I have a sales call, I have essential marketing messages. I may help somebody do their 30-second pitch. I know I have a 60-minute window. I have an agenda for it. I have questions that I already asked line up. I ask for the agreement. There's a whole process flow in by which I am having that conversation with the person, and I have it literally written out, so that if I'm training someone else or they're hearing what I'm saying or it becomes a part of my training, I can tell you these are the steps I'm taking. And if we role play that, if you hear it recorded, you're hearing this is the process that I've leveraged, because you can't scale. You're listening to powerhouses tell you how they've scaled, how they've dealt with building the business, how through the whole process of the buying journey, even through the continuation of repeat customers and maintaining continuity with your customer base. All those things have to be processed out. And it's not that you're going to build Rome in one moment. It's over time saying, this is what works, and let me start being able to hammer that out on a consistent basis. And so I really appreciate that. And I think that's a powerhouse way of being able to showcase some of the things that we need to do as small business owners to really get a chance to build our business and grow, and not only do that, but position ourselves, our brand, in a way that we never could before, especially in this marketplace. Our processes really help us to keep on top of when you're in the space. And I'll say this for myself, we are in the space of being shut in. It is hard sometimes to keep motivated. It is hard sometimes to keep on point. And I've had to even set processes around, okay, I know I have these things I need to do. Let me make sure I'm motivating myself and making that happen in this space. I'm going to pop back out here. I'm going to make sure we get a few questions answered for the both of you. And then I have one last question to ask you, Roderick, before you go. And Kristin, we are excited to have both of you answer. And then we've got several questions to have you stay on and answer as well. So can we have Amy Cole come forward? There
Good
you
afternoon.
Okay. There is our Amy Cole. Thanks for joining in for us today. And I know you've got some of our questions that are coming in for our audience. So
Yeah,
Amy
I do.
Cole, and before you say, Amy Cole is our can you hear me okay? I'm sorry. Before
Yes.
you say, just let me introduce you, my dear. My apologies. She is our staffing expert and executive recruiter at Amy Cole Connects. She's out of New York, and so she's feeling the new resurgence. Not resurgence in New York. That's right. You guys you guys are doing well. So she's a regular on our show, and she is a powerhouse. So I wanted to introduce her and thank you for coming aboard. And you've got some questions from our audience. So
I do. And I also want to thank both Roderick and Kristin, because every single thing, first of all, I'm taking notes. I'm 20 years a small business owner. And when you mention closer to the sun, it's very interesting. I believe in both of how you feel. I don't want to put words into your mouth, but it is that my clients are my partners. They're not clients.
Absolutely.
And it's so exciting to partner with them. Now, as a recruiter, it has been very difficult to call them the past 12 weeks because they don't want to hear from Amy Cole. They're letting go and not hiring. But I need to be a resource. And when you say get closer to the sun, you start to get burned and it actually hurts. And I love the metaphor, Roderick. This is a good one, because my team and I are doing this a little bit. And I kept saying, guys, we also have a thing called Thank You Note Thursdays in my office, where we write a thank you note we try to get 5 out a week just for fun, scribbled on a cute card. We like our cards. And you know what? What are you thanking people for today? Being there, showing up on our calls, picking up the phone. We've got this. It's just, so anyway, blessings to you sincerely, and thank you. So I've got 2 questions from people, but I also, Roderick, you mentioned about how you've been pivoting and how when you're in the sales game, you are specifically speaking to a certain division of that sales. And I want to just say that maybe I didn't listen clearly. Kristin, how about you? What's been a pivot in the past 12 weeks for you that's been like the number one pivot?
I would say the number one pivot is expanding to include both B2C, so selling directly to individuals, as well as I've actually teamed up with a former market research partner who I hired at all three companies, Fortune 500 companies that I've worked for. And so we've brought our skills together. She's an expert market researcher. I'm an expert brand person. And so we've powered up in order to bring those skills to Fortune 500 companies and to do ethnography, which is what we focus on, those one-on-one conversations with consumers to get really deep and to uncover deep insights and wisdom that can help inspire brand growth. So those are the biggest pivots I've made.
Well, I love it, and I don't want to overstep a boundary, but Tony and I are similar in strategic partnerships where there's a commonality and not competitiveness, where we bring each other to the forefront. I'm executive search and lead professionals, and she's small business leadership edge. So that's a wonderful another nugget for everyone that listens to our call. So this young lady here says, my question is for Roderick. I'm reading the chat. You have a powerful LinkedIn profile. She's looking you up as we're on the call. What did you do to become a 219 top 10 sales and marketing influencer on LinkedIn? I'm telling you, LinkedIn is it. Look at this. Okay. So what did you do, Roderick? Show your stars and stripes, my darling.
First of all, LinkedIn is an amazing platform that I don't think people utilize to its maximum. What I do differently on there is I share information that a lot of people think they should actually have to pay for. Let's start there. Because what I want to do is not just show thought leadership, but show practical application of how we're doing things. And another thing that I do on LinkedIn is think of this from a thematic perspective. Have a theme for a month. Don't go out there and just kind of randomly shotgun content out. And I see that a lot. What I do is this month, for example, it's all about collaboration. So I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to give you some quotes that may be mine, maybe others. I'm going to give you some videos. I'm going to give you blogs. I'm going to give you podcasts. And then I'm also going to take time to do two things. One, something I call Ask Me Anything on the third Wednesday of every month, because that now drives conversation and it gives you topics for your videos and for your podcast, right? And the other thing is, I always want to give shine to someone else and their business. So many times people go on and say, it's me, 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 look at what we're doing. And so every week I'll take a day out of the week and say, you know what, this is my spotlight. If you're looking for someone in the marketing space, in the brand marketing space, in the sales space, in the sales operation space, this is the person that you need to talk to or the company. Now, I get nothing out of that other than the fact that I want to share the love. And people react to that amazingly well. The other thing I will say is you have to be consistent across all of your social media platforms. And in talking with LinkedIn, and there's a whole series of this actually that LinkedIn will start to release as of next week, that I went and recorded with them. So there's more coming beyond just this piece. But make sure you're consistent across all of your platforms. Because if I look at you on Instagram and you look different as a company, then you look on LinkedIn, then you look on Facebook, etc. I'm not sure who you are. The third is don't make your customers and your prospects have to work to understand what you're saying. Speak to them in their language. Don't assume that they're going to learn yours. I don't go on there with sales enablement gibberish. I go on and say, hey, do you want to know how to decrease time to revenue? Here's a video. Do you want to know how to increase sales productivity? Here's a blog. Do you want to know how to make yourself more impactful and effective for your prospects? Here it is. Keep it simple, keep it concise, clear, and succinct for them. And then ask them questions. Don't just become the answer person. Say, hey, what if, or is this you? Does this work for you? What happens when you try this? I think the other thing and the final piece I'll give you that I got from LinkedIn, because I asked that question, what did I do? Because I'm just kind of putting information out. They said, you are not afraid to say two things. One, I don't know. There's an enormous amount of power in I don't know, and an enormous amount of credibility. And the second piece that I learned from them is you're not afraid to share your failures. We're so wrapped up on social media of unicorns and rainbows and everything's perfect. It's not. How can I help fix your problem if I can't show you that I've had that same problem or fixed that problem before?
Oh, Roderick, I mean, powerful. And I'm keeping you spotlighted for a moment here because while you are looking and we're getting additional questions in, and Roderick is getting ready to gracefully leave us, but he is amazing. We will be bringing both of them back for sure because the tutelage, the wisdom, and the things, the nuggets of wisdom that we're receiving are so impactful. If you don't mind, I just would love to have Roderick's information put in the chat so that you know where to go to his website to get more information about Roderick, his upcoming book, the launches and things that he's doing, and also grab some of the sales enablement tools and some of the great, amazing things that he has on his site that actually give you some wonderful ways of continuing to build and grow your sales no matter what your business is. And if you could just leave us with one thought, Roderick, one thought in regards to, or one nugget of wisdom beyond what you've already done that just speaks to how you were able to do one key thing in this space, taking your experience from corporate and actually bringing it to grow your small business. What was the one major thing that was pivotal, that was transformational, or that you would like to impart to our hearers or listeners?
Thank you, Tony, for that. It comes in 3 stages: listen, learn, then lead. So let me give you specifics. First, I learned that the more you listen, the more that you will find high value information. And it's not just about discovery and qualification. It's about really understanding the human. Stop just asking questions about their goals, their objectives, and their obstacles, and ask one very simple question. If we don't move forward with this engagement, what will it mean for you and your career personally and for your business? Stop just thinking about ROI and start focusing on what I called COI, the cost of inaction. If you do nothing, how will this hurt your business? Will it push you further behind in competitive? Will it knock you off the map? Will it make you irrelevant? So that's the listening piece. Then learn. Find out what is important to that individual as well as the company as a whole, not just around their goals and objectives, not just around the competitive landscape, but focus on the why they're doing business as a company, not just what they do. The last is lead. And that means showing the expertise that you have and showing that you are an expert, but also showing that you are flexible enough to understand and customize with and for them. Enablement's about 3 things. It's about communication, collaboration, and orchestration. If you can communicate in their language that they speak, they're going to be able to talk back to you. Because if I'm talking Spanish and you speak Italian, we may have a problem. But if both of us speak the same language and it's your language that I took time to learn, first, I have a vested interest in you. The next is collaboration. Now, collaboration is not about always doing the right things the right way the first time. It's about doing it conjointly until you get it right. The last piece is the orchestration. And I'll give you this as an analogy. I look at sales enablement this way, and this is really the value of sales enablement to a small business specifically. So I look at us as an orchestra, all the lines of business inside of your company, your sales, your marketing, your product management, your product marketing, your engineering, your HR. Think of them as pieces of an orchestra: strings, percussions, woodwinds, etc. Now you're all doing the right thing for the customer and the prospect, but you're doing it at the same time. So it's a bunch of notes that are being played on top of each other that sounds like noise, until one person, the conductor, i.e. sales enablement, steps up, taps the stand, gets everyone on the same level, and that creates a beautiful piece of music. That's what sales enablement does, and that's the value to your small company.
I'm glad we got more than one nugget, folks, because let me tell you, just the process, just being able to understand some of the key things, and really, and when I say things, I don't mean that loosely, some of the specific ways that we need to be looking at and giving us a framework to do that, I think was absolutely powerful. So thank you for that. For those that want to make sure that they gain access to additional information and to be able to engage with Roderick, you've got the information in chat. He, of course, is at roderickjefferson.com. It has been our pleasure and an honor to have you here with us, sir, and we look forward to having you back. And I'm looking forward to being on the road with you, okay? That's for sure. So thank you again. We definitely appreciate you, and we're looking forward to connecting with you soon. And Kristin, it is back. It is on to you, and I cannot wait because we've got a good few things that I want to make sure that we hear from you and close out, because our brand, what we're saying right now, how we're competing and how we're connecting, you're hearing some great things from Roderick from a sales enablement standpoint, but sometimes you can't even get through the door because people are looking and bombarded with so much information right now. How are people differentiating themselves? How are you positioning yourself in the marketplace amidst COVID? This is crazy. It's a crazy environment. So can you speak to what you're doing different now and what you're recommending your customers to do, whether they're big business or small? Because to be honest with you, a lot of the playing field has leveled between a large company and a small company. Please, as the guest expert here, tell us what your perspective is.
Yeah, and Roderick said it very well around pivoting and being agile. I mean, that's been a consistent theme of, how you deliver your services. So keynotes, I was used to traveling and being in front of a room full of people. Now I've delivered keynotes and workshops virtually. And so, that is one. I would say number two is being aware of the energy and managing the energy. When people are working from home and when people are working remotely and we're not together, I think a different type of energy is necessary to engage and keep people engaged in this virtual environment. So I have to prepare in a different way mentally and emotionally in order to engage and to have that great conversation so that it is time well spent. Time right now is at a premium for everyone, especially if you have children, if you are a caregiver, if you have other responsibilities. Even if you don't, we're now responsible for making our own lunch and making our own coffee. We can't just walk down to the cafeteria and grab anything, if you're in that environment, and even if you are an entrepreneur, so time is at a premium. So engaging people in a way and with the energy that will allow them to feel like this has been a good use of my time. So that is one practical pivot I think that is necessary to be made in this environment. As it relates to your brand and your business brand, it really does start with understanding deeply who your customer is, who your client is, serving their needs. And then I would say segmentation. Segmentation means that there are different types of clients that you have. So for me, I have Fortune 500 clients. I have existing and aspiring entrepreneurs and small businesses, which, by the way, I actually made a pivot about a year ago. So this is when I was still kind of in the planning phase. And I had a file on my computer called small business. And I said, I don't want to think like a small business. And I changed that file name to business enterprise. Shortly after that is when I got my first coaching client. And there's just something that is really great about mentally putting yourself in a space of, because you're a small business doesn't mean you have to operate like a small business. You're an enterprise. You want to develop that scale. So that was just a little bonus tip as well. But I would say, understanding who you're. Go ahead.
Listen, I just want to piggyback off that and just ask another little quick question. On that note, in your mind, what was the difference between you saying small business to enterprise? What was that quantum leap for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it was around scale and knowing that small business does not mean me, myself, and I. It doesn't mean that I'm going to wear every single hat forever. Now, you may have to start that way. But like I talked earlier about creating processes, and I have scripts as well. So couldn't agree with you more, Tony, around that. But creating processes so that you can duplicate yourself when the time comes, so that you're not limited to your own time frame and to your own bandwidth and capacity. That really is the quantum leap mentally that took me from a small business mindset to creating an enterprise, because I want something that I can pass down to my children, something that I can bring on other employees, something that maybe I can sell. I don't want my business to stop just because I can't be in it, or just because I'm on vacation like I am right now. So that was the quantum leap, is around scale and sustainability.
Okay, great. And you were going to go on with a few other comments in regards to brand, but before you do, if you don't mind, we've got another question that I want to make sure that we get before the end of the show. If you don't mind,
Absolutely.
I want to make sure that we bring Amy Cole back in, because she's got another question from our audience specifically for you, Kristin, with that brand expertise. So Amy, can you just do a quick popcorn and let's share that lovely.
Yes. So this young woman says, as a small business owner that runs a retail space, what can I do to get people coming back to my shop at my store? Even as we reopen, people are still very fearful to come in and come out, and we can't have as many people like we used to. What would be your next best recommendation?
Absolutely. And that's a very valid concern. So this is one of those times where communicating with your audience, and hopefully you have an email list, the most powerful asset you have as a business owner, which allows you to segment your customers based on who they are, what their needs are, and the solutions that you can provide to them. This is an excellent time to leverage that email list and to communicate with them what measures you have taken and what measures you are taking around safety. And you can do that, in a way that exudes empathy around what their fears and what their concerns are. So you can also express your gratitude for them being a part of your business community. So that would be the second thing I would say. And then the third thing I would say is, are there other ways that you can be of service? For example, one of my very favorite brands is called the Lip Bar. And the Lip Bar has a website. They started with e-commerce. They're sold in Target, and they have a storefront as well. I just saw this morning that they are doing 10-minute consultations on how to properly use your makeup and to answer questions. So are there other services you can be providing to keep your customer base engaged and keep them part of the conversation? So those will be the things that I would share with you.
And I think that that's powerful. And one of the reasons why I believe that that's powerful, and thank you for the share, Kristin, is because you're hearing how we have to communicate, how we have to assuage or ease people's concerns around COVID, around this pandemic, because this is going to be a long-term thing. This is a new normal, whether you like the buzzword or not. There is no going back to where we came from. This thing is evolving, and it's going to continue moving forward until we do get some type of cure. And even then, they've got so many mutations of the COVID-19 that it's like the flu. We have no idea what's going to happen. So how you do business changes, and the better you can communicate that and the more effective, as well as pivoting to be able to say, okay, I do, you're seeing, and you'll see one of the things that you have heard in my own program, Pivot to Profit Secrets, you'll hear me coach my own people, that you're seeing now banners at the top of somebody's website. Come to our website. Here's what we're doing today. Here's how we can serve you. But if you want COVID-related information of how we're doing business amidst this pandemic and how we're protecting our people, how we're protecting our partners, as well as our customers, you're seeing, click on that link at the top, and then you're seeing them say, this is what we're doing to keep a clean, safe environment. This is what we're doing. And it's all the branding piece that puts people at ease and says, oh, they really are caring for their people. They are caring for us as we move forward, and they do want us back in, and here's how we can engage with them. That's great. That puts my mind at ease, so I can actually be a patron or be in their space. I think for my program of Pivot to Profit Secrets, we are having to pivot even with how we are showing a person online, how they can learn some of the things that they need to do in our 90-day intensive. And for our support, if you can put in the Pivot to Profit Secrets link inside so that people can go there, that would be awesome. And then I'm going to share Kristin's information as well. But Pivot to Profit Secrets is really all about just the small business and things you're hearing today. How do you sell in the midst of COVID, and breaking some of those specific steps down? How do you actually get online? How do you take your bio and say, okay, this is what my bio is today, but this is how it manifests itself online on my website, on different social media platforms? How do I actually speak to? You heard Roderick and you've heard Kristin talk about connecting with people in this space. You're connecting with them with information. You're also connecting, speaking their language. That's not just from an emotional intelligence standpoint, but it's also from what you heard Kristin say so eloquently, listening to what they have to say in order for you to really understand their pain points, understand the gap of where they are today to where they're going to be. And Kristin, unmute yourself because I'm coming back to you, lady.
I think my kids are knocking at the hotel door and I'm like, no.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm like, you're not getting away that quick. Excuse me. But I wanted people to just recognize that there are things you're doing a little bit different, not a little bit, a lot. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Your that was lightweight choking. Don't have COVID. No issues here. I'm quarantined.
No judgment.
Anyway, you are in a space where you are. For me, the Pivot to Profit Secrets is about helping somebody to do some key things that will help them to get on the track record so that you can start preparing now for as we open up. And yes, we're opening up now, but we're going to close again because of all the pandemic issues that are going on. But really, if you get yourself online, really start to tighten up what you're doing, how you're doing things. When we start in the fall, getting into our new normal, you will put some of the systems in place, prepared yourself, and started building some of the relationships online that you need in the platforms that you need to. Email king, emails king, all those things are critical, but you want to be able to be prepared to open up on the back end of that. So as we actually move forward and get ready to close out, I would like to make sure that Kristin gets a chance to say the last imparting thing that you would like to say to our hearers. That's the most important nugget that they walk away with today. And I'm going to make sure we get Kristin's information in the chat as well. So go ahead, Kristin.
Yeah, I think the most important nugget is consumer intimacy. That is knowing who your customer is, listening to them, not being afraid to ask those questions, to check in with them, to let them know that you value them, and being willing to pivot in order to be able to meet their needs, and to express that gratitude, for their support that they've given you. This is very tactical, but to the person who asked about how to invite people back into their stores, make sure that on your door you have a statement around, maximum X number of people. That automatically sends a signal that you have thought through and that you're taking action for their safety, not only with the email that you'll send, but also with that important foot traffic for your retail store as well. So I would just say consumer and customer intimacy is the key.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I definitely appreciate that, Kristin. It was amazing having you on today, not only to talk about the brand and talk about some of the tactics that you're using in your business and the impact that we have a chance to make amidst COVID in this pandemic. We are so fortunate to have had you and Roderick on. I'm looking forward to having you back and being on the road with you as well. So folks,
yes,
please take a look inside chat. Make sure that you've got the links not only for Roderick, but also the links to Kristin and her site, Driven to Succeed. We humbly appreciate the opportunity to connect with you and also for our viewers to always be able to serve you at the highest with big business solutions for your small business. So join us every single Tuesday, family, right here at www.smallbusinessleadershipedge.com. This is Tony Navy, and here's to your success. Make it a great day.